In this episode, we want to share with you a method of creating a new garden that will save you time, as it is very quick to build and requires virtually no weeding, leaving you plenty of time to enjoy just being outside. It can be laid anywhere, whether on grass, sand, or used to create an economical raised bed, so it suits your situation wherever water and sun are available. Finally, it is extremely simple and low cost, using easily sourced materials and conserving those that are high value, like finished compost or garden soil. This makes it an almost instant garden to suit any budget. Our inspiration to try this method is an Australian garden called Esther Dean. She was active in the 1970s and was one of the pioneers of what is now called lasagna gardens. Esther attracted quite a bit of attention with her success and also gave some inspiration to one of permaculture's grandfathers, Bill Mollison. Now, before I go on any further, we'll be referring back to Esther Dean throughout this quite a bit. In the description to the video, we've popped a link in there, haven't we? So it's actually, you can get free access to the book. It's out of publication now. So if you follow that link, you can download a PDF, and that book's probably worth having in your library. So we're going to be renovating an old bed. Now, if you look at a lasagna bed or an Esther Dean bed that we've already made before, you can see absolutely crazy lush growth. It's really going great at the moment. It's very close to harvest of some corn, and some pumpkins are coming on soon, as you can see here. Now compare it to this other bed that we made before. So this other bed, we laid down some cardboard, then we laid down some manure, and then we just put some compost that came from the local tip down on that. Pasky, it grew some pretty good lettuces.
Yeah, it grew really well over springtime when we had lots of rain. The lettuces, beetroots did really well.
The wind's coming up.
Yep, so let's start gardening.
Let's start gardening. The materials required for this bed are few and inexpensive. You will need a weed barrier, and we used plain cardboard, but newspaper laid down a few sheets thick will work very well. An important ingredient is lucerne, or alfalfa hay. Its nitrogen and mineral content is key to the success of this garden. Between layers of material, we scattered cow manure, but aged chicken poo is also recommended. And to top it all off, you will need a layer of compost for your seedlings to get a start in. Okay, so when you're starting a new garden, the first thing you want to do is, if it's on grass or something like that, just mow it nice and flat. For us, it's just cutting off these corn plants that didn't do so well. And Pasky's also, she's just digging up some plants that she does want to transplant, that she's hopeful of success in a better garden. So the very, very first step is mow it or prepare it in some way just to get rid of anything too high. And then you would lay newspaper or cardboard over it. That's the very first layer. The reason why we're not digging anything up is digging disturbs any weed seeds that are hiding in the soil there, and they'll sprout up, and then you'll have to weed them later on. By just sheet mulching with cardboard or newspaper, just by covering those things up and leaving everything undisturbed, you really do save yourself a lot of work in the future.
I'm salvaging some of these carrots. They didn't do very well in this bed, so we're interested to see how they go in the bed that we're building this time. Yeah, like they're okay, they're a bit short, and I think there wasn't good aeration. It wasn't easy for them to put their taproot down in this bed, so I'm hoping that we'll have better success this time.
What about this, Pascal? Are you just going to get seeds out of this?
Yes, I want to. So there's like there's a few things around that I was letting to go to seed that we'll be able to harvest seeds from. So this is a celery plant, and I think there's a few seeds there. But we also found that when we cut dill and put it in a glass of water on the kitchen bench, they actually form the seeds themselves without having to be in the ground. So we can try that for the celery.
Well, we can try some of that, but we can leave it here. So this bed
we can leave it?
This bed can be built around existing stuff. Like it's we can let this go to seed if you want.
Okay, I'd like to leave this too.
Well, okay, so it's doing fine, isn't it? Once we surround it with the rest of the bed, I think it'll just do better and better.
This is warrigal greens, so it's a native to Australia, but it's actually like a good substitute, a native spinach here in Australia, and the animals really enjoy it, and it is good if we don't have any other spinach in the garden to use it. when a recipe calls for spinach.
Yeah, so this is doing pretty well. It's a pretty hardy plant, so we might just leave it in place. So by being able to build the garden around these things, it's not like you're double digging, you know. So it's a uninvasive form of making a garden. So anything that's already there that you don't want to move, it's perfectly okay to leave it there. On your new garden site, mown grass, weeds and leaves can be left where they fall to feed the worms, but we have some hungry goats to care for. Fresh greens are also vital for the best eggs. Our local nursery and hardware store was a great source of plain cardboard to use as a weed barrier. You should avoid anything with a gloss or colourful finish. Installing irrigation now, if possible, makes wetting each layer easy. Now is a good time to install any paths. We used wood chips because we had them and like how they look. A raised or edge bed doesn't require this step. These paths are unusual because we are trialling keyhole beds, popular with permaculture practitioners. The first layer is lucerne or alfalfa. When alive, its deep roots draw essential nutrients up and it will feed first the microbes that create rich soil for you and then your plants. It's possible to just grab 4-inch or 10cm thick tiles straight from the bale and lay them down, but we chose to fluff them up a bit. We have access to plenty of loose manure, but decided to use this bag of mixed manure that we found hiding in a cupboard. Our initial bed got a generous scatter of cow manure between straw layers and has worked very well. A non-animal source of nitrogen that can be used is spent brewer's grain. Bulk coffee grinds are also good if they're available. Don't forget to give each layer a thorough soaking. This is important for decomposition that needs to take place. It's also a good time to add any amendments your local soil may need, like dolomite that we used here. By now your garden beds will look unusually high, each layer being 4 inches or 10 centimetres thick. This is what you're aiming for. The second layer can be any seed-free straw. We're using material that has been used as bedding in our goat stall. It has some urine soaked into it, which reduces how much manure we add later. Again, we're using spent brewer's grain in place of manure. We have found it composts extremely well. What's been a really great sign is we laid down all of this and we wanted to give it some time to just start rotting down before we start putting the composts and planting into it. So this is exactly what we want. We've got all of these toadstools all along these beds, and that's showing that decomposition is well underway, and there's a really great fungal mycelia growing in here. Some people like to use drip irrigation, you know, particularly like large-scale agriculture. And that's really good for conserving water, and people think that that's getting the water right where it's needed, you know, as in the roots of the plant. We're just taking a different idea, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but it's just in our minds that what we're trying to grow is a big fungal network through all of this mulch, and then we're relying on that to feed the plants, make a bit of a root associate going on. So that's why we do like the overhead watering. We like that broad scale watering, so that we're actually watering the fungus and the healthy plants are a byproduct. We'll see. But we're pretty happy. The last beds that we did that really took off, they also were preceded by this crazy outburst of toadstools before we put the compost down and planted into it. So, you know, going on past record, We hope we're on the road to success with this garden as well. The last garden layer is something to plant into. It may seem strange to have all of that mulch under the plants, but it composts down very quickly as the seedlings grow. We found compost from our local waste facility to be very inexpensive. This layer also needs to be 4 inches thick, so for our large garden we need a lot. We like a neat appearance to our beds, so we smooth the surface out flat. This makes it easy if using small seeds for vegetables or flowers. While our renovated beds followed a market garden layout, we're also quite pleased with the keyhole beds.
We made these beds up 2 weeks ago now, and so they've been sitting here for 2 weeks, which is really great. We've been irrigating them every second day, and the compost sitting on top here is wet all the way through. It's really fantastic, all the way down to the first layer of mulch. So it's perfect now for us to plant our seedlings and sow some seeds in. Today is the new moon, so I'm going to be sowing some seeds as well as putting these seedlings in. And instead of doing everything in clumps, in big rows, so I was thinking of doing like all the cabbages in a row, like a market garden style. I've got loads of herbs here, and I've got some flowers, and I want to plant some root veg as well, direct sow, some carrots and parsnip. And what I'm thinking is instead is that we're just gonna mix and match everything up. So try and plant a brassica and then surround it with herbs and flowers and salads, and then another brassica, just so that we've kind of got the brassicas spread out. Because I don't know if you remember, but in spring we had some issues with our brassicas with some caterpillars. So maybe this will help. I'm sure that flowering herbs, and I know from reading that flowering herbs and flowers, these flowers that I've chosen, will attract beneficial insects, so that might prevent it. And also just not having everything in a big clump might prevent a whole lot of moths coming in and laying in one big area. If the plants are healthy, they should be able to fight off the caterpillars anyway. So what I have here is lots of coriander or cilantro, lots of dill, some mustard greens, some rocket, which really didn't grow very well in the spring and summer, but I'm hoping it'll do well over autumn and winter. Some spinach, some lettuces, Lolo Rosso and Mignon, which we've grown over spring really successfully. And then here I've got some flowers. We've got bergamot, larkspur, sweet pea, and then various types of cabbage and some more dill. And at the back here I've got kohlrabi, purple sprouting broccoli, some Brussels sprouts. We're really excited for Brussels sprouts. Yeah, and so we're going to see how these all go, but like I said, I'm going to interplant with the herbs, the flowers and the lettuce, the brassicas, just so we don't have big chunks of brassicas all in one spot. So I've measured out and pre-dug my holes for my brassicas. They actually need like quite a lot of space. The seed packet says 20 to 40 centimeters. So I've just opted for like a little bit over 40 centimeters, and that way we can plant some other things in between our brassicas, and hopefully everything's not too crowded. Yeah, so just gonna roll with that. This particular section, I'm gonna be putting some wombok in and some cauliflower. So yeah, I'll mix them up just so it looks pretty. We'll have different cabbages growing. You really needed to be planted, didn't you, wombok? I've also got some straw from the goats enclosure that I'm going to be mulching everything with. Some of these are pretty leggy. I think they sprouted really quick and then I didn't sort of get them out into the sunshine early on, but that's alright. See how they go. I've planted out 2 full rows and I'm feeling pretty hot and bothered. basically I've just, like I said, I've spaced the brassicas and then planted salads and herbs and flowers in between them. So they look like tight plantings for brassicas, but actually the brassicas are quite spaced, and then they've got like either low growing flowers or herbs. And then at the back behind me, I've planted dill and sweet pea, flowering sweet pea, so not the edible one, along the back. So hopefully this all kind of works out, but we've got to wait now for at least a month to see how it all grows. Welcome to autumn in the garden. The weather is just glorious. I don't know, we haven't had any cold weather yet. We haven't had any rain yet, which is a bit tricky, but we've still got plenty of retic from the dam. The dam's still holding water. So yeah, I'm just irrigating the garden now. I haven't had to pull out our summer crops yet because we've just had mid-20s like for the last 3 weeks. Pretty dry and it's pretty hot, so it's cooling me down having a little bit of water in the air while I work on this garden bed. This last row, you saw me planting out these rows earlier. I stupidly, for some reason, didn't mulch the beds before I planted little tiny seedlings in. It was really hard to mulch, so this time I've mulched the bed first, and yeah, I'm going to just plant the remainder of my seedlings in. You can see I haven't mulched this bed behind me. I'm going to do a bit of a trial and just see how the seedlings go without any mulch on them. It is quite hot, but I feel like it's going to cool down soon, and having that dark soil, it might just mean there's a bit more warmth and they grow a little bit better. But we'll do a comparison and see. I don't know, maybe this will get too dry. I don't know, it's always nice to do a little bit of A/B testing in the garden and see what performs better. So I'll put the seedlings in the remainder of the row here with mulch, and then yeah, we'll be able to see how it progresses over the next few weeks.
It has been really, really hot, but winter's on its way. We still haven't had any rain, Pascal?
Still haven't had any rain.
But, you know, things are looking pretty good, as you can see. This is the garden on its way down, so it looks all right. The plants that Pascal has planted over there in the other bed, they look like they've really established. They've only been a few weeks and they're really, really booming.
Yeah, they're doing great. They really are.
Yeah, and I just wanted to wrap up the video just with one more thing. Some people might be like, oh, it looks upside down. There's the compost and then there's the straw and everything else like that, and it might seem really weird. Just what I wanted to leave you with was, just after a few months, we're just going to have a dig in the garden and you can have a look. So this garden has been growing for 4 months. It's been growing the whole time, and all that straw we put in, we didn't have to wait to compost it, did we? It sort of, it just composted down. So we did have to buy some compost to get this garden going, so it's an instant garden, but it has improved in all of that time, and now the maintenance is just a topping up with, as you just top up with more mulch and a bit of manure, that stuff just keeps composting down now. And if your bed gets totally exhausted, if you really, really pull a big crop off, all you have to do is just repeat the process and your garden will be as good as ever. But anyway, have a look at this. So if we look in here, everything has disappeared. Like there's no more layers of straw at all. All it is plant roots and beautiful soil. So there you go. That's what it looks like. It's all melted down and become great. So get out there. It doesn't matter the scale that you make it. You can just one bale of lucerne, one bale of hay. It makes quite a big garden space.
Yeah.
Plenty for the average backyard.
Yeah, like a small raised bed or anything like that.
Yeah, or you can go completely crazy. And I'll just point out, this was one bale of lucerne and one bale of straw. This size garden.
The half of the garden, not that half.
Yeah, that's the keyholes.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Maybe you'd like to subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And we'll see you next week.